We're back with our second section of biology. Chapters 15.4 and 15.6, I've condensed them into kind of one sub-chapter, so it's going to mainly cover 15.4. That will be what your section review is over, is 15.4. You're not going to have to do 15.4 through 15.6. That, of course, is detailed on your information sheet. Let's get going. There's lots of people in the hallway picking up their stuff, so hopefully they won't bother us. Alright, symbiosis, a relationship that occurs between two different species that live in direct contact with each other. This happens more than you would think. Let's consider a couple of examples. These are the three types of symbiosis. First one is parasitism, where one benefits from the relationship and the other is hurt. However, it does not kill the host. Consider tapeworms. Tapeworms are parasite. They used to give tapeworms to overweight people to help them lose weight because they live in your gut. They steal all your resources. Very nasty. It's a parasite. You don't benefit from a tapeworm. The tapeworm doesn't do anything for you besides steal what you have. Another one's bacteria. So if you get pneumonia, it's probably caused by a bacteria. The bacteria, well, it's not too interested in helping you. It's mostly interested in destroying you. Same thing with mistletoe. Oh, look, that's a cute Christmas plant, except the fact that it's a parasite. It is meant to kill other trees and, well, not necessarily kill, but steal their resources. So maybe when you see mistletoe at Christmas time, you can say, are you encouraging parasitic, terrible relationships? I don't know. So, mutualism is helpful. For instance, fungus and plant roots. So fungus, plant roots work together. The plant roots are very good at collecting things. The fungus helps them to spread out. And so in return, the plant roots give them some of their resources. So the plant roots go downwards, the fungus go outwards, and whatever they collect, they share in a mutualistic, beneficial relationship. Commensalism is where one organism benefits, the other's not helped or harmed. An example of this is beggar lice. Beggar lice are those little things you get in the woods. Those they're green, about yay big, and they just kind of attach to your clothes, and they get carried around. I mean, they don't hurt you, they don't help you, it's just they're looking for a free ride. Same thing with barnacles and whales. A barnacle is going to attach to some point in the whale, and the whale doesn't even know it has a barnacle on it. Barnacle's just there for a free ride. And doesn't help, doesn't hurt. Commensalism is neutral. As you can see here, if species A benefits, species B is hurt. It's called parasitism. If species B isn't hurt at all, it's commensalism. If they're both helped, it's mutualism. If they're both hurt, it's competition. If they're both not affected by each other, it's called neutralism. Those are various types of symbiotic relationships. Now let's consider succession, primary succession. So let's say Hawaii has a volcanic explosion, another volcanic island is created. It would be a bunch of bare rock, and then it'd be lichens, mosses, herbs, grasses. You wouldn't all of a sudden go from having bare rock to having a maple tree. You would have to go through several things before that. Hi, Miss Cowan. Oh, she's taking a picture of me teaching my lesson. Sure thing. All right. Smile. Yearbook, all right? Secondary succession begins in an area where there was a pre-existing community of well-formed soil. Consider maybe an abandoned farmland or a forest fire like is happening in Australia. There's already some dirt there and some soil. So it starts with some annual plants, and then it moves on to where you get some softwood and then hardwood trees. And so there's a succession where you have to have certain things before you have others. That makes sense. The last part of these notes are over various cycles. First one is a water cycle. As you can see, evaporation, condensation, precipitation, these things happen in a cycle where there's evaporation of the ocean, condensation, it's transported, precipitation comes down the mountain, and there's runoff, goes to the stream, and goes back to the ocean again, thus the circle of water. And these things happen in a cycle. Here's another one, carbon cycle. We are breathing out right now carbon dioxide, CO2, putting it into the atmosphere. Plants love it. Plants use that CO2 to do photosynthesis, and they put it back into the atmosphere as oxygen. So do algae and certain types of bacterium. And again, this goes in a circle where we make carbon dioxide, plants take it away, and we have a good cycle going. Here's the nitrogen cycle. Move myself out of the way. You have atmospheric nitrogen, which is put into the ground by nitrogen-fixing bacteria, and denitrifying bacteria takes nitrogen out of the ground. And so nitrogen levels are always constantly in a balance because there's bacteria that puts nitrogen into the ground, there's bacteria that puts nitrogen out of the ground, and there's nitrifying bacteria that take nitrogen from a bunch of dead stuff. And so it decomposes, gets put into the ground. That's one of the reasons why nitrogen is, first of all, essential for plants, but it's one of the reasons why if you have a bunch of dead stuff, things grow really, really well around that dead stuff because it's organic fertilizer. Last three slides talk about resources. The first one is a renewable resource. Things that can be renewed. Some of them are obvious. Food. We can always plant more food as long as human intervention is there. Wind. We're never really going to run out of wind or the sun. It's unlikely we'll ever run out of water because we have tons of treatment options. Timber, unless we have some massive deforestation, we can always plant new trees and have renewable resources. They're produced about the same rate that they're consumed, and it continues on. However, there's lots of things that are not renewable resources, called non-renewable resources. Consider this diagram, and of course this is from an evolutionary construct, so I would believe that the millions of years are considerably overestimated, but these are resources that are not produced at the same rate they're consumed. The fact is that there's not going to be another global flood. God actually promised that there wouldn't be, and so there's not going to be a lot more oil and natural gas and petroleum and stuff produced, and so once we use it all, we're out. So as you can imagine, we are going to be running out of gasoline and other things within the next, some say 10 years, some say 20 years. It kind of depends on a lot of different factors. But whatever the case is, we're going to run out eventually, and we need to invest in other options, such as solar or wind or hydrogen-based energy or nuclear energy, whatever is the best option there. And lastly, what's our responsibility? Well, I wish I had a good answer. This is debated all over the place. If you watch the recent Mr. Merrill, we're talking about politics. If you watch the recent Democratic debate, you have watched Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden fight over just how many trillions of dollars they're going to invest into pouring into wind energy and solar energy and stuff. What's our responsibility here on Earth? Well, biblically, the Earth was given to us to subdue, and that doesn't really give us too much of direction, but I do think that we can responsibly use our coal, oil, and natural gas resources. But we also need to be thinking about when they're gone, what we're going to do when they are gone. Well, anyway, that is the end of the Chapter 15 notes. Make sure you do those Chapter 15.4 section reviews and get ready for your test on Friday. Hopefully you've been studying a little bit, and remember, it is still your responsibility to memorize those things, because we will still have an exam as long as I can get my way with that. So, I will see you guys. When I see you, stay safe from the coronavirus, and hopefully you enjoyed this video lecture.